G'day and welcome to part 2 of our visit to the Port Arthur Historic Site in Tasmania, Australia. Once paying your entry fee and receiving your pass for the day, which you wear around your neck, you make your way downstairs into the Interactive Education Centre, which covers the settlement of Port Arthur from the day it was first discovered right through to the day it was closed and turned into the historic site that it is today. Another thing that you're given upon entry to the site is a playing card. That playing card matches to a person downstairs within the Interactive Centre. This was an actual person who used to live here at the site, and you can follow their movements through the Interactive Centre and then out into the site itself.
Well, I'm pretty sure I'm that guy.
Man, would it hurt, Daddy?
No, it doesn't hurt.
They come back off?
Yes, Joel, they don't even hurt. They're just heavy irons.
Being an interactive centre means that all of the exhibits are hands-on. And there's also a video reenacting bygone eras of Port Arthur.
No shouting or other noisy conduct can be permitted in barracks.
Every half hour, an introductory tour leaves the visitors centre and makes its way down to the foreshores of the Port Arthur penal settlement. From here, a guide tells you the history, the stories, and the general layout of the area. The introductory tour concludes up at the asylum, where you're free to go and explore the site as you wish. In 1864, Port Arthur's Asylum was built at the southern extremity of the site. Built to a classic cruciform shape, the wings were occupied by dormitories around a central mess hall. In keeping with the era, treatment for the patients, many suffering from depression or mental disability, was rudimentary at best. Convict patients were provided with a soothing atmosphere where they were allowed exercise and mild amusement. These days, the asylum is used as a cafe, museum, and also the Convict Record Centre. But looking outside, all I'm interested in is finding a ghost. So let's go ghost hunting. In 1863, 1 year before the asylum was built, the Paupers Depot was constructed. This building that you can see here is the Paupers Mess, the only remaining building, and it used to house those convicts who were released into the community but had served so much time that they did not know how to interact nor look after themselves. This is also the location that we find our first unexplainable event. Right now, as I film Isabella and Tanya walking into the mess, both of them are struck by a very strong smell of chloroform or formaldehyde, which Tanya instantly recognises from her medical background.
No, I can't.
Really? Okay. It smells stronger. That's not here. Okay. It is not over there. Actually, still. Oh,
As you can see by Tanya's reaction, she's obviously disgusted at a foul smell. Tanya's described that smell as the smell of chloroform. Chloroform was widely used whilst the Port Arthur settlement was in operation. And this is how Isabella describes the smell.
Can you smell that, Dad?
I can't smell anything.
Seriously?
I'm serious.
How can Bill and I smell it?
I don't know.
It's so strong. It's formaldehyde and antiseptic.
How did we feel sick?
Come out here.
Well, I can't smell it at all.
That's good enough.
You don't like it?
No, you must. Stand there.
I swear to God, I can't smell it.
No, not over there. Stand there and just breathe.
I am.
Rubbish.
The girl like this.
Can't not smell that. Remember when I had that chloroform poisoning? It's
Yeah.
chloroform.
Is it poison? Is that poison in there, Mum? Maybe it's like poison.
What was amazing was that only Isabella and Tanya could smell the smell. Isabella describing it as the smell of a hospital, and Tanya knowing that it smelled like chloroform. It was only in 2 separate locations, as if there was a person standing there reeking of this smell. As you'll soon see, Isabella and Tanya encounter this smell on a couple more occasions whilst we're here at Port Arthur, leading us to believe that possibly an entity manifesting itself as an odour was following Isabella and Tanya. Now with that experience behind us, bear in mind that the night before during our ghost tour, Mead had explained that most of the hauntings at Port Arthur are not visual hauntings. They are emotional, where you have feelings and thoughts that are imposed upon you by the spirit, and also odours. So smells such as the chloroform is not uncommon here. What is unusual, however, is the fact that Tanya and Isabella got their smell in 2 separate locations within the pauper's mess. This is not a usual place for the smell of a hospital or chloroform. You'd expect that in the hospital or the asylum. So this is a bit unusual and unexplainable. Let's take a walk through the hospital ruins, starting at the base, with the asylum just behind us. Built above the prisoners' barracks on Settlement Hill in 1841 to 1842, the hospital was the 3rd constructed at Port Arthur. The hospital included wards, a kitchen, baking room, laundry and morgue, and was staffed by a doctor and a number of untrained convict orderlies. Port Arthur's convicts laboured in heavy industries such as timber getting, an inherently dangerous job that meant accident victims were common inmates at the hospital. The hospital building was sold to the Catholic Church in the 1890s and damaged by bushfires in 1895 and 1897. This is what the hospital looked like in its heyday, and this is what it looks like today. Now an imposing ruin, the penitentiary was constructed in 1843 as a flour mill and granary. In 1857 it was converted into a penitentiary capable of housing over 480 convicts in dormitory accommodation and separate apartments. Flanked by the watchmen's quarters, the penitentiary also contains a mess room, library, Catholic chapel, workshops and ablutions complex. The building was gutted by fire in 1897 and lay derelict until a concerted conservation program began in the 1960s. For a small extra charge on top of your entry fee to Port Arthur, you can purchase a tour to the Isle of the Dead, Port Arthur's Cemetery. Let's join Tom, our tour guide, as he shows us around the Isle of the Dead.
Over here, Patrick Howard.
92. So it takes longer to wear, it proves that it takes longer to wear out than what it does to rust out. So early retirement's out for you, mate. Patrick Howard is a younger man back in Ireland. He was married with 4 young children. On arrival in Hobart Town, Williams Patrick hadn't been a manservant all his life. He was totally unfitted to heavy manual labour. He was delivering mail up around Eagle Hawk Neck. He had to negotiate a creek that was in flash flood. He was swept from his horse His lifeless body was found 24 hours later, still with a mailbag on his back. Now, you know with your computer or your typewriter you make a mistake, you can press the delete button. With your handwriting, get the liquid paper out. Told amongst the members of the regiment, only the more intimate and personalised items would be sent home to the grieving relatives, and then they'd pass their hat around and with the money erect the headstone. Is the answer given to us here? This stone is erected as a tribute to his memory by his comrade soldiers. Soldier, 35 years of military service, died at the age of 57. He was a barrack sergeant, first of all at Norfolk Home, then later on here at Port Arthur. But I'd respectfully suggest he wasn't the happiest camper here in Port Arthur. For the reason I suggest that, his epitaph. In this court cursive section here, these 4 lines here. To arms the friends of temperance cry, and with courage to the conflict fly, and with the sword of truth and for defence, the shield of total abstinence. I don't think a total abstaining barrack sergeant in a place like Port Arthur, where it is known at the time of John Simpson's death, there were 2 very highly profitable sly grog shops operating, that he would have been the happiest camper here. And I think the answer to that is given to us in the last line. Erected as a tribute of affection by his bereaved wife. No recognition of military contribution in any way, shape or form. 20 years of age. What would you think of a bloke that worked here for 25 years and given total service and died? Look at the beautiful carving in the words. Wonderfully easy to read until you get to these last 4 lines. It's a bit difficult, isn't it? There's no space between the words, which makes it very hard to read. What those 4 lines say, his melancholy fate doth plainly prove the frail uncertainty of human life. Oh, may his soul attain that blessed abode which knows no human misery or strife. Sunday night, the 9th of March 1840, was in charge of a boat crew, bringing the junior medical officer out to Point Pure to treat an injured lad. On returning to the main settlement around about 9:10 that night, they pulled up at the Commandant's jetty. The doctor alighted from the boat and was making his way up the path to the Commandant's house to report back as to the treatment given to the injured boy. He got about 30 yards up the path when he heard a scream and a splash. And Private Robert Young, who was in full marching order, a big heavy woolen uniform, knee-high jack boots, a couple of bandoliers of ammunition around his neck, had fallen into the water. The water of the Commandant's jetty at mean tide level is around about 20 feet deep. An addendum to the added, which had originally been incurred over days in labour. Anne died, the child survived and was wet nursed by 2 other ladies who were breastfeeding at the time. The child went on to a very long and successful life. Now you talk about mistakes in stone, have a look at that lot there. Benjamin Horn Esquire. Benjamin Horn Esquire with a small R after it. Headmaster of the school at Point Pure. Now pure as we know it is P-U-E-R, as in the Latin for boy or youth. Not pure as in squeaky clean. And this grave here is Port Arthur's most legendary dead person. This is the grave of the Reverend George Eastman, who was the Anglican minister here for some 13 years. Now George was a character who was larger than life in all ways, the one he loved everything who was good in life. He was reputed to have weighed 25 stone, or 140 kilos. Pockets and short arms, and he was the lowest paid in the family. But Yorkie had a bad habit. He had Guinness elbow. And father being a bit mean, he resorted to being a highwayman. He was very successful. And one night he had a big haul, got drunk and bragged about it. Smartly got caught. Sent out here to Van Diemen's Land, and he is credited with assisting Daniel Herbert. Come in a bit closer up there. Daniel Herbert, come in a bit closer.
See you later, Tom. I hope you enjoy your retirement.
Closer up there.